You are listening to Wedding and Event Insider. This is Michelle Torberg. We have a very special guest with us here today. She is the Director of Development and Strategic Partnerships at the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce. She serves as a Vice President of Marketing and Communications on the board for Meeting Professionals International, and she is the Director of Special Events here with the Twin Cities Wedding and Event Professionals. She has won 3 International Live Event Association awards in the past few years. Listen in as she shares her tips on how she has accomplished this working career.
There's 3 tips in this, but work hard. People acknowledge hard work. You will never be that person that is, without connections or without people in your court advocating for you if you work hard. So there are times of unemployment and furlough, and that is sometimes, especially right now, hard to go around. But if you work hard, there are those people who will keep working for you, knowing that you work hard and want you in their court or somebody else's that they trust.
I am so pleased to introduce my colleague and friend, Elizabeth Sherry. You are one of the best director of special events that I have known. Tell us about you and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So, starting with the me part, I'm Elizabeth Sherry, and I am husband to somebody that I actually met, or I'm wife to somebody that I met in Twin Cities Wedding and Event Professional. So a lot of the things I need to pay forward to that, and why I still continue to love the group so much. That and plus so much more. I have a daughter named Peyton, and we all live in a beautiful house in Cottage Grove, and just feel so blessed. I have a lot of family around. I love spending time with family. I love spending time with friends. So I feel very blessed to have great people around me. And then as far as what I do, I work for the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce as their Director of Development and Strategic Partnerships. So what that means is, it could be so many different things, but I do dabble with the events team, but a lot of it is coming up with partners and organizations to work with us on our journey to develop our programming and content. And the Minnesota Chamber as a whole, the organization is, it's a policy-focused program. We're pro-business for the state, and we want to build the state's economy through business. So a lot of the event programming and partnerships I curate are in the pathway forward for that. So that's a little tidbit about it. There's so much that goes under that umbrella, but I'll just give that little overview.
Oh, absolutely. No, I know that you are definitely looked up to in the events community with your event planning skills and all that you do. And so I would just love to hear what possibly is your favorite story to share about your work experience, because you have a vast experience here in the Twin Cities that I'm sure you got a story or two that you can share with us about your work experience.
Let's do this. I will let you choose. It's either a story about a monkey or it's a story about a football. So you get to choose what avenue we go down.
Oh my gosh. Curious. Let's do the monkey.
I figured you would pick that. It's hard to say monkey and then not go down that route. So this was earlier in my career. I was working for a different organization at the time, and we had an event. And as you have probably seen at events that you operate and go to, sometimes there's different talent that comes in. And so one of the talent that was brought in was a magician who had a monkey. And how many opportunities do you have to really interact with a monkey besides being behind a glass wall or some sort of netting or something? So this monkey was right there, and the comedian was so generous to be like, hey, come on, let me show you the monkey. Actually, in hindsight, this is kind of a funny statement, but he's like, let me show you my monkey. It's in my car. And so my, industry friend who I was doing this event with, at her property, we went out and we got to see the monkey in the car, and it's March in Minnesota. So it's a little chilly, and the monkey gets brought out of the cage, goes right onto my industry friend's arm, and is just snuggling into her. And I'm looking at this really cool experience I'm about to have. I'm like, oh, this monkey is amazing. I can't wait to hold a monkey. And so then the monkey starts going over to my direction, and all of a sudden it just gets angry, and it goes. And what I didn't know at the time, I thought that the monkey hung on my hair, but in fact, he either clawed or bit my ear. And so I'm fairly certain it was a bite, because the claw, it wasn't where his hands were. So, interestingly enough, like, so that, and then they, of course, like any person who owns a dog or a cat, when you start seeing your pet get angry at a person, you immediately apologize. So these people, for apologetic for something they didn't really know what was happening, like, why did he get so angry? They thought it might be because it was cold. And I was like, oh, it's fine. Don't even worry. Like, I get it. I had no idea that when I walked back into the event space and I'm wearing this white blouse and I go to I go to a mirror, I see it. There's blood all down the side. I'm like, oh, no wonder why they were kind of like apologetic, but like also didn't know what to say. So I was just like, it's fine. And I like walk inside. So, who knows what they were thinking. But anyways, yes, I've been bit by a monkey at one of my events. So to sum it up, that is one of my like memorable work experiences involving a monkey.
Oh my gosh, that is a crazy story.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, even probably crazier is the follow-up of people were like, did you get a rabies shot? And I was just like, I looked up what that entails and I decided I'm going to risk it. And, what I looked up what it was entailed was the, 4 shots to the abdomen, which seemed a little intense. But then what I didn't look up is like what happens when you get rabies as a human. So I really should have probably done some more thorough research and taken the 4 shots to the abdomen. But I mean, this is now about 10 years later and I am okay.
You're okay. Yes. Yeah. And I just happen to know rabies vaccines because I used to work at a hospital. They're extremely expensive. It's like thousands and thousands of dollars. It's crazy. So I'm glad that you're okay. And didn't have to go through that process. Holy smokes.
Yeah. It worked out.
Oh, I'm glad. Now a word from our sponsor. Janine Marie Photography is well known here in the Twin Cities for her wedding and event photography. She is also the owner of Block Portrait Studios, which is located in St. Paul, Minnesota, which specializes in creating joyful homes through portrait art. She and her talented team are passionate about discovering what means most to you about your family. They will design a session experience to create the perfect memory that you're going to want to showcase. Reach out to them to set up a discovery call. They'll take the time to interview you and your family and uncover the moments that mean the most. They will guide you through every step of the way and guarantee that you will leave with a warm heart and treasured art to appreciate through life. Visit Block Portrait Studios at blockstudios.com. And now back to our show. So you have a career that a lot of people look up to and want, and you've been in like I said, in the Twin Cities area here for a long time, working the strengths of what you do as an event planner and just promoting events and just working with your community here. What advice would you give someone that's wanting to pursue a career that's similar to yours?
I guess I have a couple different tidbits that all fall into this. First, I would build a roadmap to what you want. Early in my career and as I was going through college, I knew I wanted to be in events. But what that looked like, I didn't know until you're actually in it. But, as I started getting in the industry, I saw a lack of knowledge that I had, which was in food and beverage and how integral food and beverage is to a successful event. It's really the course of a timeline. It helps you understand the flow of vendors and venues. And there's just a lot of logistical pieces. And not saying that anybody who doesn't go through this path won't understand it. You do, but it's definitely more of a boot camp essence to it. So what I said is I needed to spend at least 3 years in food and beverage to really understand and be a better event planner coming towards the end of it. So as career paths, of course, develop and change, I ended up doing close to a decade in food and beverage and really enjoyed my time with it. But anybody who is in the catering space understands that it is a lot of time commitment. You are nights and weekends, and it's hard. It's hard work. Right. I can't tell you how many times I had to roll my sleeves up, put my hair up, and plate items on the fly, and you hop in wherever is needed. Separate entity time from plating things on the fly is I've also gone in and dived in and plunged toilets. Like there's just doesn't yes. stop where you go to make sure that the event is successful. So that is one of them. Build your roadmap, and after my time was done when I saw the most extreme and elaborate events that I would ever do in my career at Super Bowl 52. And I said, this is now my career's done in this. I'm buttoning up this and I want to go to corporate event planning. And so I did. So that's one of them. And then on top of that, throughout this course and this roadmap that you build, don't settle. And I look at people who have maybe similar histories to mine where, you know, there's a job or two that you've, you know, every 2 years you have a new job, and how does that look? To me, that looks like you didn't settle. To me, that looks like there's something, that job that either wasn't right or wasn't for you, and you either are trying to make that work at a certain time, or we just went to a different job altogether. And there's no harm in that. You know, people are developing and growing in their career. And as I see those types of years spent, I find it so important that people really look and analyze those windows of opportunity as that opportunities, growing experiences, and move on to what's next. So really don't settle, and keep on climbing in your career as much as possible. And this is just an underlying all throughout this. So really there's 3 tips in this, but work hard. People acknowledge hard work. You will never be that person that is, you know, without connections or without people in your court advocating for you if you work hard.
Yes.
So there are times of unemployment and furlough, and that is sometimes, especially right now, you know, hard to go around. But if you work hard, there are those people who will keep working for you, knowing that you work hard and want you in their court or somebody else's that they trust. So kind of a couple different pathways. But I do think that is what I felt like was attributing to my success, is I kind of had that roadmap. I worked hard, and definitely, you know, a comprehension of all of those pieces.
Yeah. Oh, I think that was excellent advice that you gave for somebody that's kind of considering wanting to go towards that type of a career. And how did you get to the place that you're at? It's like, yep, there's just rungs to the ladder, and we just have to kind of, you know, walk, step up and into different places to make that happen. So I bet, what are some of the best resources that have helped you along the way? Because I'm sure there was some resources that you could give some tips to as well.
So, you know, you're not paying or plugging me for this, but I Twin Cities Wedding and Event Professionals for sure. I mean, networking. So I do want to give a plug to that. Networking as a whole is so important, so pivotal. I really can't elaborate that enough, because it is having, like I said, the advocates in your corner, but just people that you can go to in time of need. I, at a networking event, had said that I was unemployed and looking for a job, and that was a week later I had a job. So there are people and resources within networking spheres that can help you. So your community of industry professionals that are like-minded is huge, and it's an investment of time and sometimes of money, but it's ROI on it, not really trackable, unless you have a direct situation like me where I have a job from that. But it is so important. So that is one of the biggest resources, is people. And those are, I mean, really priceless. So.
Oh, absolutely. I think those connections and that support, I mean, it's almost, you can't buy it in some ways. I mean, it is an investment of time, like you said, but man, when you need them and you call upon them, and sometimes just their ideas of what you can do, just can launch you forward. So I agree with you on that one 100%, obviously. Oh. So Elizabeth, I would love to know have our listeners know something, maybe a fun fact about you, and maybe that they might not know.
You know, there's not a lot of crazy times or fun that I'll have as, you know, being a young mom. And, you know, we just get through the days sometimes. But yeah. I will say that my kind of passion and groundwork with parenting and even with my family is I love playing games. So however I can be creative in that, like creating some sort of fun game for my daughter to do. I mean, either it's a already made board game or something else. Maybe it's the event planner in me, but I love doing some sort of games. I love having people be entertained and laugh. And, you know, I think for me, it probably stems from a lack of wanting to have people and my family converse, which always tends to converse about politics. So we always go straight to a board game.
Yeah.
So it's kind of ingrained in me early on, even before politics got to get as rough as they are these times. But really, board games, I think you, as much as you don't converse, but you get to just really know somebody. So I do love playing games, and it's all games, video games, board games, you name it. So that would probably be a fun fact about me.
Oh, I think that's so great. I've seen just social media sometimes gives us little glimpses, but I think it was a scavenger hunt that you did for your toddler daughter,
Yeah.
and it was the most through your house, and it was the most adorable thing I've seen, and I just loved her eyes. And as far as like, okay, I'm going from this point to this point. I did it right. Okay, now I'm going. Where am I going now? And just that mystery and fun, and yeah. So I got a little glimpse of that into your life and with your beautiful daughter. So I think that is so fun.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Awesome. Oh my gosh. Thank you for your time today, Elizabeth. This was
My
really
pleasure.
fun to do. You can also find Elizabeth Sherry on LinkedIn. And to learn more about Twin Cities Wedding and Event Professionals, visit us at tcwep.com to find out about our in-person and virtual events. Thank you so much for listening.